PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, where we break down every single game of the 2023-2024 season, we're going to be discussing a divisional matchup, a good rivalry of sorts, as the Vegas Golden Knights take on the Pacific Division leader currently, the Vancouver Canucks. And this is supposed to be a good game, a good back and forth, and it was for a little bit, but we'll break down everything that happened in this game. We'll go over the pregame notes. We'll talk about rumors and some speculation that's going on with your Vegas Golden Knights. And more importantly, when it comes to your Vegas Golden Knights, we are going to be doing something more interesting. We're kind of going to be talking about what the future holds. I mean, at this point in time, we have about 19 games left in the regular season. There's so much content that we are going to break down here on Vegas Hockey Hub. So I'm really excited. I'm really happy to sit here and talk about it. And go to PRConnectionsRadio.com, voice of new media. Check out all the fantastic content we have on the network, including Vegas Hockey Hub. We have about a dozen shows on the platform. If you also want to go to our social media pages, we are at Vegas Hockey Hub. We are on all major platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We are everywhere at Vegas Hockey Hub. And if you want to support your host, I'm also on social media as well at Ian J. Rachiele. And I also write articles for thesportsangle.com. I've written hockey articles in the past. So if you want to go to www.thesportsangle.com and check out the articles that I have written on that site, that would be much appreciated. Now, getting into the actual game itself, there's going to be some new additions, some lineup changes, and so much good to happen in the pregame part of it that we are going to be discussing on tonight's show. Now, when it comes to what has been the main topic for your Vegas Golden Knights, it is the NHL trade deadline. Everybody knows it is the final week. We are about 72 hours away from the NHL trade deadline being complete. There's going to be so much stuff that's going to be breaking down in the next 72 hours. We're going to be breaking down everything here on this show. We're going to be doing our NHL trade deadline report card. We're also going to be, when doing the Red Wings recap, if there's any new trades or any new moves that happen, we'll talk about that as well on that recap show. But there is two new additions to the Vegas Golden Knights that we have to address. The first one, this is someone that I actually been wanting to have on the Vegas Golden Knights for a while. The Washington Capitals have agreed to a trade forward Anthony Mantha to your Vegas Golden Knights. And the trade compensation was actually not bad for your Vegas Golden Knights, as Anthony Mantha was traded from the Washington Capitals. And here's what the trade package was. Here's what your Vegas Golden Knights had to give up in order to get Anthony Mantha. Now, you only had to give up a second-round pick and a future fourth-round pick. So, in reality, that is not a bad trade by your Vegas Golden Knights. It's second and a fourth for a rental. This guy will be a free agent next year, and he only will play those 19 games for us in the regular season. And then if the Vegas Golden Knights make the postseason, he'll be on the roster as well. Now, Anthony Mantha, 20 goals on the year, 14 assists, 17 penalty minutes in 56 games for Washington. So, yes, he did miss a few games in the Washington Capitals season, but overall, your Vegas Golden Knights are getting a defensive-minded forward, somebody who can score 20 goals like he just did in Washington. And when you really look at what Anthony Mantha has done throughout his career, 142 goals and about 300 points. You know, this is somebody who has really done a solid job in his career out there in Detroit, out in Washington. So this is a fantastic move by the Vegas Golden Knights. When I first got this notification, I was at work, by the way. I was at my business center. I'm taking care of notaries for customers. And Anthony Mantha, the notification popped up on my phone. This is a great move by the Vegas Golden Knights. I like what we saw from Anthony Mantha. And then Noah Hannafin. Now, I am not going to be an expert. I am not going to sit here and say that I know absolutely everything about Noah Hannafin. Here's what I will say, though. This guy is currently a rental, all right? There is no contract. Maybe there's an extension in the works. Maybe in the future. We don't know. But Noah Hannafin is a rental. So the Vegas Golden Knights had to give up a young defenseman in Henderson, Daniil Myromanoff, a first-round pick that is a conditional first-round pick, and a conditional third-round pick. So, in reality, when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, you get a defenseman in Noah Hannafin who is a rental. They also had to only take 50% of his cap hit, which is actually really impressive by Vegas. And more importantly, what his stats showed this season in 61 games in Calgary, 11 goals, 24 assists, and a plus 13 for the Calgary Flames. Now, once again, Anthony Mantha, I got to watch him play here in the NHL. I know who he is. Noah Hannafin, I am not as familiar with him as much as I am Anthony Mantha. Of course, as he is playing here in Vegas, we're going to get to know a lot more about Noah Hannafin. Now, the connection to the Vegas Golden Knights is the fact that he was in Boston. He was part of Team USA when he was growing up, getting into juniors. And he was actually a really good teammate to Jack Eichel. So Jack Eichel, Noah Hannafin kind of back together again. They have that Massachusetts connection there growing up in juniors. But Noah Hannafin, welcome to the team. Anthony Mantha, welcome to the team. They'd both be in the starting lineup for this game for your Vegas Golden Knights. And unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to somebody who has been a really good member of the Vegas Golden Knights, Daniil Myromanoff. Unfortunately, when trades happen, this is stuff that is going to happen in the NHL, unfortunately. And for Daniil Myromanoff, this is a guy who was someone who came over. He came over from overseas, a good Russian defenseman, only about 24 years old. And this guy, only 1 year left on his deal. I know he'll be a free agent next year. There's a chance that maybe Vegas brings him back, or he'll get extended by Calgary, depending on how he does over there. But for Daniil Myromanoff, his final stats as a Vegas Golden Knight, throughout his career, he played in 29 games, had 2 goals, 5 assists in his career. So overall, 7 points as a Vegas Golden Knight in only 29 games. Now in Henderson, he did spend more time there. In fact, he spent 4 seasons playing in the AHL. So overall, Daniil Myromanoff, it's sad to see somebody go. You know, you never want to see somebody move somewhere, especially a guy that has some talent and some upside. But for Daniil Myromanoff, this is a guy who spent, parts of 3 seasons playing in the NHL for Vegas, kind of as a offhand defenseman. And then this year, when Shea Theodore got hurt, Daniil Myromanoff was definitely a big piece of that. Him and Kane Korczak really came in to fill that role while Shea Theodore got hurt. So now I do have to say goodbye to Daniil Myromanoff. I wish him the best of luck in Calgary, just like I wish Braden Bahal best of luck when he was claimed on waivers by Calgary about a month ago. It's business. This is sports. It's just the reality of it. Stuff happens. Trades happen. It's sad to see people go. But Daniil Myromanoff, goodbye. I wish you best of luck in Calgary. Now, getting into the pregame notes, Pavel Dorofeev practicing in a red no-contact jersey. Now, we saw the practice notes and the fact this is Vancouver. This was at morning skate at City and National. And for Pavel Dorofeev, we have not seen him on the ice since the end of January when he took that really nasty hit by Jacob Trouba that earned Trouba a 2-game suspension. But yeah, Pavel Dorofeev, he's trying to get back into the lineup. This is somebody who, like I said, was doing really well for Vegas before he got hurt. He was a middle 6 guy, a really solid forward, young, energetic, a good hustle down the ice for Pavel Dorofeev. So good news by the Vegas Golden Knights there. The fact that you have a guy like Pavel Dorofeev who is practicing, he's skating with the team, he's trying to get back. But yes, so for the first time since the late January meeting he had with the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. Paolo Dorofeev is back. William Carrier still out with an illness. So unfortunately, William Carrier back on the shelf, not going to be in the starting lineup for your Vegas Golden Knights. And I know some people say I'm too harsh on the guy. It is possible. I am. But William Carrier, his reliability on the ice is becoming a liability for Vegas. He misses a certain amount of time. It feels like every single year we're talking about where is William Carrier. And with this season, he has missed a certain amount of time. He has been on the injury list again and again and again. So it really just makes you question in terms of the long-term impact of William Carrier. Now, we have about 20 games left in the season, but let's be honest, William Carrier is a free agent next year. I know he's an original misfit, but he feels like he's just missing a certain amount of time. Speaking of guys who are going to be missing time, Alec Martinez, he has now been officially put on IR. So after Alec Martinez took a shot wrong and then went down the tunnel a couple of games ago, he is now on IR. And for anyone who's actually been on social media, there's actually been stuff shown that he has a boot on, even with the organization. But yeah, he is injured at the moment. So Alec Martinez put on IR. He is not going to be with the Golden Knights for a limited amount of time. Clearly, you don't want to see somebody get injured. We never want that. But for Alec Martinez to be put on IR, that's just a situation where, unfortunately, a guy gets injured, and that opens up an opportunity for somebody else on the defense. Now, we do know that Noah Hanifin, who just got acquired, by the way, is going to replace Alec Martinez in the starting lineup. In fact, we'll talk about that in about 2 minutes. But when it comes to Alec Martinez, him being put on IR, and then the interesting note that came out of morning skate, Tobias Bjornfot, the defenseman they acquired from the LA Kings in the beginning of January as a waiver claim, has now been officially put on waivers by your Vegas Golden Knights. So Tobias Bjornfot, he only had a cup of coffee, only a game or two with the Vegas Golden Knights before getting hurt. Then he goes to the Henderson Silver Knights on a conditioning loan before now being put on waivers. Now, it will be surprising to see if anybody picks up Tobias Bjornfot or if he clears waivers and they send him down to the Henderson Silver Knights. I want everyone to remember that when it comes to Tobias Bjornfot, this is a situation where you have to study this at face value, and you have to realize that because the Golden Knights have a lot of defensemen, because they now have Noah Hanifin, and the fact that he probably was done with his conditioning loan in Henderson, they had to put somebody down, and that would be Tobias Bjornfot. And getting into this game tonight, Adin Hill in net for your Vegas Golden Knights. So Adin Hill going up against Vancouver, where he got injured back in November. So it'll be interesting to see how Adin Hill performs against the Vancouver Canucks. And really, when it comes to Adin Hill, this is just a situation where when you really study it and you really break down what's going on, this is a guy who has struggled recently. We've talked about it before on the show. We've mentioned it. We've gone over it. But, when it comes to Adin Hill, I hope that he does well in this game. I hope that there's a possibility that he ends up doing a really good job in this game. But yeah, Adin Hill back in net tonight for your Vegas Golden Knights, trying to shake off the struggle he has had as of late. Like I said, Adin Hill, we're actually going to be doing a video discussing the goalie problem the Golden Knights are going to have moving forward. We're going to be releasing that next week. And the starting lineup for your Vegas Golden Knights, line one is Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, and Jonathan Marchessault. So that first line is officially back. Jack Eichel, he came back around the Columbus game. So welcome back, Jack Eichel. We're happy to see you back in the starting lineup. On the second line, you have Chandler Stevenson at the wing, William Karlsson at the center, and then the newly acquired former Washington Capital, Anthony Mantha, making his Vegas Golden Knights debut at the right wing. On line three, you have Paul Cotter on the left side, Nick Waugh at the center, and then Michael Amadio on the right side. So, Amadio, Cotter, Waugh being a middle six, being a top nine right now for the Vegas Golden Knights. And then the fourth and final line is a bit surprising, but you have Mason Morelli on the left side, King Kolazar on the right side, and then at the center, you have Byron Fraze. So that fourth line, because of William Carrier being out with an illness, because they had to promote Nick Waugh to the third line, Byron Fraze from Henderson, he's going to be slotted there. Mason Morelli from Henderson, he's on the left side. He's done pretty well in his limited action being with the Golden Knights, only a couple games into his career. And then the steady and dependable King Kolazar on the right side. Now, the defensive pairings in this game, you have Alex Pietrangelo and Noah Hanifin making his Vegas Golden Knights debut after being acquired from Calgary. You have Braden McNabb and Shea Theodore, the very reliable, they've been there for so many years on the second line. And then you have Zach Whitecloud and Nick Hague on the third line. So it's just going to be an interesting matchup, a good back and forth there to see what the pairings look like, and more importantly, to see how Hanifin and Pietrangelo would perform with Aiden Hill in net. Now, getting into the game itself, Anthony Mantha would actually make an impact right away for Vegas, and not even 2 minutes into his debut, he would have a high sticking penalty and would actually get a double minor against Niles Hoglander. So Anthony Mantha making quite an impact in his debut game, getting a double minor for Vegas. So yeah, just a great start there by Mantha. I mean, this is just really setting the tone for what he's going to do with Vegas. And the Vegas Golden Knights, they would get on the power play. You had to be on the penalty kill for Vegas, and they would kill off this double minor. A very good job by them. But the Vegas Golden Knights would get sloppy at the 5-minute mark of the first period, as Suter from Vancouver, he would slash our goalie Aiden Hill. Alex Pietrangelo would jump him. King Kolazar would jump him. And Pietrangelo and Kolazar would both get 2-minute minors for roughing. So really a lack of discipline there. I understand anytime you even touch a goaltender, your team is going to respond. But Pietrangelo and Kolazar, they really laid into Suter at this point, created a power play opportunity for Vancouver. And, you do it one time, you might get away with it. But a second time in the span of 5 minutes, you are pretty much creating an opportunity for the other team to respond. That's what Vancouver would do. As about half a minute after this penalty from Pietrangelo and Kolazar, Quinn Hughes with his 13th goal of the season, assisted by Brock Besser and Elias Pettersson, to have a 1-0 game for Vancouver. Quinn Hughes, one of the best defensemen in the NHL today. He takes advantage of it. He capitalizes on this penalty by Pietrangelo and Kolazar and scores on the power play. And then, half a minute after this, you think Vancouver would be done, right? No. Half a minute later, the Vancouver Canucks would actually extend the lead for them and create a 2-0 situation as Philip DiGiuseppe with a 4th goal of the season, assisted by Niels Hoglander, to be a 2-0 game. And it was just a situation where when it came to Vancouver, they just really took off in the first period. They have one of the most explosive offenses in the NHL to begin with. And then you create these power play opportunities and you really get behind the 8 ball here. So in reality, the Vegas Golden Knights being down 2-0 at this situation to begin the first period, that was not good by Vegas. A really sloppy play in the first period. That was not good by your Golden Knights. So heading into the second period, your Vegas Golden Knights being down by 2, they would have to have somebody make an impact play, someone to take advantage and create an opportunity for your Vegas Golden Knights. And who else but it's me, Michael Amadio, with a dozen goals on the season, assisted by Nick Waugh and Alex Pietrangelo to make it a 2-1 game. Now, Nick Waugh, good setup on this play. Of course, the Paul Cotter, Nick Waugh, Michael Amadio line for this game. But Michael Amadio, good job here. I like the setup. And more importantly, to get this goal and to get it past where it needed to be. And more importantly, to get it past a really good goaltender this year in Thatcher Demko. So your Vegas Golden Knights would cut the lead down to 1 for Vancouver. And it was interesting to see how Vegas would respond. Would there be any chance of them being able to get an opportunity and get back into this game. Well, Connor Garland would get a penalty about 2 minutes later, and that would open up the door for the Vegas Golden Knights, as this would actually be the first power play opportunity for Vegas, and they would not capitalize on it. Unfortunately, they would go 0 for 1 on the power play. They just did not execute here. Now, there was a shot from Shea Theodore that I thought maybe had a chance of going in, but it just went wide, so you stayed at 2-1 for Vegas and Vancouver. Now, fast forward to about 5 minutes left in the second period, and Connor Garland, who had that penalty in the beginning of the period, he gets a goal assisted by Elias Lindholm, the former Calgary Flame, now turned Vancouver Canuck, and it would be a 3-1 game, and that essentially would actually start to pull away at the situation. Outside of a Jack Eichel opportunity in the third period around the halfway mark, that was really the only other chance your Vegas Golden Knights had to score and really open this up and try to get back into this game. And unfortunately, the Vegas Golden Knights, there would be no more chances. There would not be anything else. Your Vegas Golden Knights would lose 3-1 here against the Vancouver Canucks. If I have to do player of the game, considering what he did in this matchup, I have to go with Nick Waugh. This is a guy who had 1 assist in this game, but he had 4 hits, 1 block shot, and he did very well in his 16 minutes of ice time. His production was very good. So Nick Waugh, player of the game. I like what I saw from him in this situation here. He did a really good job. Now, if you want to try to maybe give it to Jack Eichel or maybe give it to Shea Theodore or Michael Amadio, considering he scored the only goal for Vegas, that's fine. But just watching the game, Nick Waugh impressed me. Now, here's the win-loss record for your Vegas Golden Knights. At this point, it is getting a bit obvious that the Golden Knights are struggling a bit. This is a Golden Knights team that really is showing cracks in their facade at this point. Hopefully they can fix this. Hopefully in the next 72 hours, there can be some other moves that end up happening and benefiting your Vegas Golden Knights in the long-term future. But yeah, right now, your Vegas Golden Knights are in a weird limbo. Like they're in a weird state right now where you're not really competing, you're really not winning, but you are getting some points occasionally to keep yourself in the fight. And I don't know if that's the solution. I don't know if, after Detroit, after Seattle, after Calgary, when you get to that point in this season, are you just trying to accumulate enough points as possible, or are you just trying to limp into the playoffs and hope that you can recover them? Now, we will be doing the Red Wings recap. That will be here on the show. And more importantly, like I said, the trade deadline, doing the report cards. We're planning on getting that video already made. That will be released by the time we get to the Detroit Red Wings game. So I will say here on Vegas Hockey Hub, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele, and this was just an edition of Vegas Hockey Hub recap. Really not many positives we can talk about in this game. Now, the team stats between Vegas and Vancouver, we'll talk about that for a split second. Vancouver outshot Vegas 35-28. Vegas would out-hit Vancouver 28-25. Vegas Golden Knights accumulated 4 penalties in this game. Vancouver only had 2. And in the faceoff circle, it was pretty much near dead even. Vancouver had 51%. Vegas had 49%. That is almost a near even split with a slight advantage to Vancouver. Now, when it came to the power play opportunities, Vegas went 0 for 1. Vancouver 1 for 3 in that situation. Block shots, Vegas only had 11. Vancouver had 16. And the takeaways, really embarrassing for Vegas. You only had 1 takeaway in this game. So, really not a game you want to spotlight. This is not a game that you really want to talk about moving forward. I don't want to talk about it. I know you don't want to talk about it. It's just an embarrassing game overall. So this was Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And until next time, continue watching hockey, go support junior hockey, and go Knights, go.